saying that there will be a third wave. So if you were hoping that, in 2022, we're not going to be seeing another COVID wave or the nightmares that we've had of COVID hitting us again, unfortunately, that is going to be the case. The only thing we can do, realistically speaking, is ensure that we're fully prepared for the same. In the United Kingdom, cases are going up. Across Europe, really, there's a huge surge, and authorities are struggling to grapple with the fast spread of Omicron. It's more transmissible than the Delta variant or any other variant, which is why it's spreading super fast. The United States, recent data shows that in the last week, the number of cases that have emerged, almost 73% of those cases were those of Omicron cases. One death has been reported in the United States, the first confirmed Omicron-related death. The man, however, was a Texas resident. He was completely unvaccinated, which is why perhaps he was more susceptible to the virus. But there have also been deaths that have been reported in the UK because of Omicron. So while it's not as severe, there have been a few incidents of it turning severe in some patients. As far as India is concerned, 160 plus cases that have been reported in the country. States like Maharashtra, Delhi, Karnataka, Gujarat, there are a number of cases that have been reported. Many other states, there are about 1 or 2 cases. Telangana also has a few cases. And because of this, state governments are on an overdrive to ensure that they're fully prepared. Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia also briefed Parliament yesterday, where he said that we've all learned the right lessons from the first wave, from the second wave, and we will ensure that the third wave can be as contained as it can be. I also want to tell you about this conversation that we've had with experts on exactly when the third wave will hit us. And based on really what they've told us, they're saying that mid-Feb is when really you can expect that it will hit India. But they are saying that perhaps even if you see that kind of a surge happening, this is Professor Vidyasagar of IIT Hyderabad who's told us this, that there will be a surge by February, where the projection is that there'll be about 1 lakh plus cases in a single day. But what they're also saying is that, what we witnessed, the nightmare that was the second wave of hospitals overflowing, of no beds being available, that kind of a scenario doesn't look like will play out, considering the fact that Omicron is less severe. And they're also saying that at this point, experts are saying they're cautiously optimistic that it's not going to be as bad, that we'll hit the peak very soon and that cases will dip very, very fast. The casualty count will be minimal. It will spread, yes, but that there are possibilities that we will ensure that the decline in cases happen very, very fast. So it'll be a sharp dip, a sharp rise and then a sharp dip is what experts are saying. But clearly, we have to brace ourselves for a next wave. And the holiday season currently on, a word of caution to all of you watching this broadcast: be very, very careful. Don't take things for granted. Do not lower your guard. We cannot reiterate this enough. All of us, of course, matter so much in the fight against COVID right now. There's only so much we can expect from the state, from the administration. What about the other stories that we're tracking this morning? We saw a lot of drama playing out yesterday in Parliament when Jaya Bachchan lost her cool over her daughter-in-law Aishwarya Rai Bachchan being named. Aishwarya Rai was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate in the Panama Papers case. She did turn up for questioning. She was grilled for about 5 hours or so and finally left the ED office in Delhi at about 7 o'clock last evening. Now, a lot of you have been asking what exactly are the allegations against Aishwarya Rai. She, along with her family members, her husband Abhishek Bachchan, they're all involved in this case. Essentially, the Panama Papers leak, of course, emerged in 2016, and the investigation, of course, went into what was Aishwarya's role in this, about Abhishek Bachchan, her brother, her parents, all of them were being looked into. Now, the allegation here is that Aishwarya Rai, along with her family members, they were appointed as directors of a company called Amic Partners Limited, which was incorporated in the British Virgin Islands, and it had an authorized capital of $50,000. Now, apparently, her status was changed from to a shareholder from a director, and then the company became inactive. So all of this suspicious movement is why the ED had summoned her. She was questioned for 5 hours on that, and because of that, when Jaya Bachchan was standing in the Rajya Sabha and speaking, reportedly there was a comment made about this, a jibe at her daughter-in-law about the fact that she was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. and Jaya Bachchan lost her cool, demanding an apology. She in fact made comments like, "I curse you," while standing in the Rajya Sabha to the Treasury bench. And it was all out ugliness, as she completely had a meltdown and started yelling, saying, this kind of a comment simply cannot be accepted. She said that personal comments were made against her as well as Aishwarya Rai. So that is something that we saw play out in Parliament yesterday. In today's session, we're expecting, sources are telling us that the government could go ahead and decide to adjourn Parliament sine die. This is the last week of the winter session. So that's another story that we're getting the latest reactions on, because the opposition, Congress, Shiv Sena, etc. have already cried political witch hunt against Aishwarya Rai. Now another story that you need to know about, and this is one that's been making headlines in Karnataka, is the anti-conversion bill. It got the nod from the Karnataka cabinet yesterday, and today in all likelihood it's going to be tabled in the Karnataka Assembly. There's been a lot of talk about this particular bill. There's been a lot of opposition to it, particularly Christian organizations. The opposition, the Congress, has made it very clear that they're not going to back the anti-conversion bill. The draft essentially has ensured that a number of changes also are brought about. But if you look at the final copy of this particular bill, it talks about a 10-year jail term, a fine up to 1 lakh rupees, and for anyone who wants to convert from one religion to another, a slew of norms that they will have to undergo, what will be termed then as protocol. All of this is in the effort to ensure that there are no forced conversions that happen. The Chief Minister has made it very clear that there's going to be no rethink on the government's part. He's saying that this is a menace that must be nipped in the bud, that religious conversions cannot be allowed to happen. It's unethical and unjust. So the government has backed this 100%. But as I mentioned, there's a huge debate over this being regressive, about how it can be misused as well, which is why some organizations, particularly Christian groups, and also opposition parties like the Congress, have made it very clear that they're dead against this particular bill. So expect fireworks on that front as well. Now, I just also want to get you a quick alert. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today again is in the state of Uttar Pradesh. It's going to be, of course, a very important day for the BJP and their campaign in UP, because the Prime Minister, leading from the front, of course, has been focusing on Vikas, and every week has had one event, one grand event or the other lined up in Uttar Pradesh. Today he's going to be in Prayagraj, and the focus for the BJP is going to be on the woman vote, on women empowerment. And this is a very important campaign, because remember how the Congress, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, has been going on and on about the women vote. They've been going all out to woo women voters. Priyanka has also, of course, has come out with a pink manifesto. She's coined that term, "Main ladki hu, lad sakti hu." So to counter that, Prime Minister Modi today is going to essentially be transferring 1,000 crore rupees to self-help groups. He's going to be launching a number of pro-women welfare schemes, and all of that is going to be happening at this massive rally where lakhs of women reportedly will be present. So those are stories that we are tracking very, very closely this morning. That and much more you can get the latest updates on at our social media handles of India Today, and also on the India Today website.